Hi yogis. Thank you for joining me here for Yin Yoga today. We will go ahead and start in just a seated position. Take a few breaths here and check in. Begin to notice how the body moves as you breathe. And begin to soften the breath. And with each exhale, surrender just a little bit more to gravity. And then straighten the legs. Keep the feet about hip width apart. And come into a forward fold. So just come as far forward as you can with a nice long spine, and then let the back round and let the head hang. We'll talk a little bit about what Yin is, the functional purpose of this practice, while we are here in Caterpillar. You can use a block to support the head if you want just a little bit of support here. But the whole point of Yin is to get to just that perfect level of discomfort that you can sit in without trying to fix it, without avoiding it. So fixing it usually would entail energizing muscles or changing the breath, and that will switch it into a yang practice pretty quickly. Avoiding it would be backing off so much that you don't feel anything, and then that becomes a restorative practice. So Yin is right in the middle of those two places. So we have this opportunity in a Yin practice to stress the joints and to get fluid back into the connective tissue, the ligaments and tendons that we tend to lose over time, maybe due to doing a lot of yang practices or really sitting a lot, not moving around a lot, so that connective tissue begins to become more thin and dried out. So whereas stretching muscles requires resistance, creating that suppleness in the connective tissue requires surrender. And surrendering into these places of discomfort. I'll be using the timer on my watch, so that's why I'll be looking at my watch on occasion. So just notice how the body moves as you breathe here. Doesn't matter how far forward you are or how far away from the legs you are. The only thing that really matters is what you think about how far away or how close you are to the legs. So maybe just let go of any thoughts or ideas that you have about how maybe flexible you used to be or how flexible you want to be. All those memories and dreams. And just be right here, right now. In a yin practice, we stay in positions for long periods of time. This also helps to stimulate the meridian system, whether we're lengthening one meridian and compressing another, those energy channels that run through the body that are associated to particular system or organ function. And we just start to allow that chi to flow more freely through us. And slowly begin to walk the torso up to vertical. And you can take the hands back behind you, get some length along the front of the body. And help the knees to bend. We'll give the knees a squeeze here. Oh, just bounce the knees and let all of that go. We'll come into half butterfly, so you can bring the left foot either to the inside here, or you can take that foot back behind you with more internal rotation on that femur with the knees wide. So totally up to you. Either way, if you feel like this leg is just tight, you can always bend the knee, put a block under the knee, and we'll start with a forward fold right down the center. So if you have one butt cheek that lifts up a little bit, that's totally okay. There aren't really any alignment rules in a yin practice. Just the discomfort, that's really what we are looking for here. Notice how the body moves as you breathe. And last few breaths here. Help the torso up to vertical, and then take a twist over the leg that's extended. If you've got the foot back behind you, you can keep it there or position it around to the front if you like, and then come on into a forward fold. And last few breaths here. And slowly begin to walk the torso up. And help the legs to move. Go ahead and pick up that leg that's extended and then bring the knees to the chest. We'll give them a squeeze here. And bounce the knees. Rock the legs side to side. Just let all of that go. And we'll do that on the other side. So we'll start with that forward fold right down the center if the foot's in front or back behind you, all right? And then any modification for this knee. If this is what's holding you back, then bend that knee a little bit, and that'll give you more mobility in the pelvis. Nice work. Slowly begin to walk the torso up, and then take that twist over the leg that's extended and walk right back down. So you can notice for a moment how different it feels on this side, and then just let that go. Our two sides will never be the same. So just embrace those differences. Last few breaths here. And use the hands to start to walk the torso up. And then help the legs to move. Bring the knees to the chest, give them a squeeze here. It's always good to come into this tuck position in between these seated forward folds. Kind of gives the psoas muscles some release and just allows the body time to absorb the new information that it receives from staying in these poses for a long period of time. So there's no rush getting from one place to the next. The origin of Yin Yoga comes from a man named Pali Zink, and he practiced Taoism, and with Yin Yoga he said to live in the Tao, move like a cow. There's no rush. Straighten the legs and bounce the knees a little bit. Rock the legs side to side. So you can stay sideways on your mat if you're already here. We're going to come into this wide leg forward fold. And if you feel like you're a little bit stuck back here, you can bend both knees. So for me, it's easy for me to tilt my pelvis forward. It's just how I'm built, and I've been doing it for a long time. So for me to bend my knees and come forward is even more effective. It's just a different situation. So this doesn't mean that you are modifying something because of something you can't do. It means that it just has a different effect on the pelvis and the hip joint. So it's totally up to you. All right. And then just come as far forward as you can with a nice long spine. And you can let the back round and let the head hang. You can rest the head on a block, just like we did in Caterpillar, that first forward fold that we did. So totally up to you, all right? You want to get to that place where it doesn't feel good. And then be okay there. Notice wherever it is that you're gripping. Relax the toes and the feet and the ankles. Stay with it. Take a deep inhale. Last few breaths here. Okay, help the torso up to vertical and then help the legs to move. Pick one knee up and then the other. Give the knees a little squeeze here again. And bounce the knees, rock the legs side to side. And you can lean back and take the feet about mat width apart and drop the knees on over to one side and then the other. We've done a lot of external rotation, so this internal rotation should feel pretty good right about now. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few options for this next position we're getting into. We'll meet up lying on the back. So you can hug the knees to the chest and roll up and down the spine if you like, or just simply lie on the back. And so I'll give you a couple of options. You may either use this block and tuck it under the sit bones and take the feet wide. So you can start here by lying on the back and then take the feet wide. This is really nice forward tilt of the pelvis. Should feel pretty good, actually. And if you want to come into saddle or half saddle, start by sitting on the shins and with the toes together and the heels apart, and then you can lie on the back. So either way, if you feel like you're kind of here, but you're not quite all the way to the floor, you can put a bolster under the torso or come into a half version. If you do a half version, I'll let you know when it's time to switch sides. All right, or just put the block under the hips. Kind of that same tilt of the pelvis, either way. And so in saddle, I like to kind of support by my upper body by bringing the shoulder blades more together. That for me feels like I've got more length across the front of the chest. And notice how the body moves as you breathe. If you're in the half version, we'll take about 3 or 4 more breaths here before we switch sides, okay? Alright, if you're in the half version, slowly switch sides. If you've got the block under the hips or you're on both feet, we'll just stay here. Notice how relax the jaw. Okay, yogis, if you have the block under the hips, go ahead and flip it onto its flat side. And if you've got the one foot or both feet underneath you, just slowly begin to bring them out and keep the knees bent. And if you've got the block under the hips, move it out from underneath you. And then take the feet about mat width apart and start to drop the knees in toward each other. You can straighten the legs here, give the knees a little bounce, maybe rock the legs side to side, and then bring the knees to the chest and give them a squeeze. And reach for the outer edges of the feet. Start to slide the knees down along either side of the rib cage. Just let the weight of the arms do the work for you. You can also bring the soles of the feet together here if that works better for you. But let the weight of the hands do the work. All right. You can rock side to side a little bit, give the low back a massage. We'll stay here for about 1 more minute. Go ahead and let go of the feet, bring the knees to the chest. then drop the knees on over to the right side. So you can do any leg variations in this twist if you like. Maybe wrap that top leg around the bottom leg or straighten the bottom leg. All right, so or keep the knees together. Any twist that is best for you. If you have the knees up close to the shoulder, that's going to move that twist up into the upper part of the rib cage and shoulders and neck. If you move the feet away from you, you feel how that twist is more down into the lower part and then the hips. So totally up to you. What feels most effective? Bring the awareness back to that observation of how the body moves with each inhale and each exhale. Yogis slowly start to bring the knees back to center and level out the hips and the shoulders. Bring the knees to the chest, and then we'll take that twist on over to the other side. These nice long twists in yin help to create that suppleness in rotation in the spine. It's okay if my shoulder's up a little bit off the floor here. That's okay. If that's important that your shoulder's down, then lift this knee up a little bit. Or if you're okay with it, it's not too much hanging in limbo, then just see where you can release a little bit more. Notice how the body moves as you breathe in this position, and how that observation instantly brings you right back into your practice. Right back into the body, into the here and now. Last few breaths here. And bring the knees back to center. Level out the hips and the shoulders. And give the knees a squeeze. It feels good to rock side to side a little bit. Yogis, I'll give you a couple of options for this next position. We're going to come into either a supported bridge pose or a tiptoe fish pose. All right, so you can start with your block on its highest side or on its mid-height side. So in the previous version that we did, we had the block under the sit bones. Now you want to get it right under the sacrum. You can let the feet go a little wider, let the knees drop out as well here, which is totally fine. If you like this, this is kind of my favorite thing to do, but it is kind of this all everything yin pose where you get into the toes and ankles and knees and everything else along the front of the body. So what you can do is just start to bring the heels under the buns, hold onto the tops of the feet. Use the elbows, push forward so you come all the way onto the knees. You've got the toes tucked underneath you. You can bring the arms up overhead or straighten the arms. That's totally up to you. Or do a supported bridge pose, which is perfect. If you come into this position and you get sick of it or if it's too much, then just come on out of it and come into the supported bridge pose. One more minute wherever you are. Okay, yogis, if you are in the tiptoe fish version, just start to kind of push back a little bit. So you end up right where we started. If you were in supported bridge pose, take the block out from underneath you, and we'll meet up right here. So you can take the feet mat width apart, drop the knees in toward each other. And bring the knees to the chest. Give them a squeeze here. You can hold on to the backs of the legs or on the shins and start to roll up and down the spine a few times. Maybe 4 or 5 times. Notice any flat spots. Try to smooth them out. And then roll all the way up. Straighten the legs, take the feet wide. And we're going to end up right where we started in caterpillar. So come on into a forward fold. Use a block. Let the torso come as far forward as it can with a long spine, and then let the back round and let the head hang. Notice how the body moves as you breathe. Last few breaths here. And help the torso up to vertical. And then slowly lie on your back for Shavasana. Take the feet wide and take the arms wide. Deep inhale through the nose. Just let everything go. Close the eyes. Relax the jaw. Let the tongue drop from the roof of the mouth. And smooth out that little space between the eyebrows. And start to deepen the breath. Take a deep inhale. And relax even more deeply. And start to move fingers and toes. Circle the ankles and wrists. Roll the arms and legs in and out. Turn the head to one side and then the other. Take a big stretch up overhead. And stretch down one side and then the other. Hug the knees to the chest and roll on over to your left side. And come on up to a seated position. Keep the eyes closed. Bring your hands together to your heart center in Anjali Mudra, where we connect our everyday self with our infinite self. All that is in me bows to all that is in you, yogis. We are all one. Namaste. Thank you for the privilege. Waheguru. Drink lots of water, yogis, fearlessness and mercy at all times, and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later.